Well, likewise, this is an awesome time for me to be here. And Hawaii is not just a beautiful vacation land, but many of the defining moments in my life were right here. At the young age of 21, I was stationed at Pearl Harbor. And this is before that I'm looking at, probably all of you were born. 1967, I came here, and I was in the military, and Hawaii was a real cool place, but boy, I didn't want to be in the Navy. I wanted to be playing music, but got out of the Navy in 1971, and I was in the Navy band here, so I just found a bass player, a young kid bass player, and got playing some of the shows. And that's where another guy, Larry Williams, and I, that came from Indiana State University, we co-founded a band that would become Sea Wind. It was Ox at the time. We wanted to be miscellaneous music because, it was a heady thing. We just played all kinds of music, but the powers that be here in the island said, no, you need a real catchy short name. So Larry and I were driving around. We drove by the Honolulu Zoo, and we were going, what about zoo? We didn't care about it. I said, what about zoo? That's short. Give them something. And Larry said, what about ox? Yeah, that's even shorter. They'll like that better. What a name for a band. Okay, so, but it was a cherished time of music, of growing. This was also the place, and this is why this place is so special to me. It's my birthplace in the faith. In July 12th, 1975, I accepted Christ. What we used to call, it's the Poly House. I lived in a house, a bunch of us did, up on the Poly Highway off of Waukanaka Street. And God was pursuing me, and I didn't know it, and he grabbed my heart. And 2 weeks later, with Pastor, I don't even know if he's still here in the islands, but Pastor Rod Wilson, it was called the House of Praise, and it literally was a house. And I was baptized in Kahala, in the ocean off of Kahala Beach. So this place is more than a vacation place for me. It is a birthplace. And when I say my wife Lori, my daughter Rachel, we got in Tuesday, got in our rental car, and I just drove out. And no matter, it's changed over 35 years, just a taste. But it is home. When I say it is home, there's something that resonates inside of me because, again, this is where my birthplace in the faith was. This is where defining moments, this band that was formed here, that gave me a platform that the Lord orchestrated, all of that. There were in Sea Wind, there were 7 members. Out of the 7, 4 were believers. And me being the principal songwriter, it was an age of a heart of innocence. It was just awesome. I didn't know what to do. I was a musician. And now I have this God that I am so in love with, and I can't get enough of. And I'm telling, the believers in Sea Wind almost killed the other guys in Sea Wind. You know what I mean? He said, no, today, you got to accept Jesus. You have to. You don't understand. This is a marvelous. Oh, okay, yeah. Could we just play some more music? Yeah, but okay, but by the end of the day, let's talk about it again. We had the opportunity to play an opening acts before Tower Power, all the major acts that were here coming to Hawaii. We had gone as far as we could go in the islands. And we got this call from Harvey Mason, a producer. Would you come to L.A.? I can't guarantee you anything, but I've heard tapes of your band. And we had one night at the Baked Potato, which was like it's a major music place, was back then. All the who of the music industry showed up. And we did a route move, cars and everything. And I'll tell you what, I lived here for 8 years. And I'm a white boy from Texas. But I adopted this land, and when I got to LA and found out there were no more plate lunches. And here's the other really problematic. I know I'm getting, but snow cones are not shave ice. Okay? You get to LA and they go snow cones, you go, oh yeah, what is this? No, you can't have ice this size. It's got to be. But we were so excited. We really went there not looking to be pop stars or famous. We were going there to say, this is the Nick's adventure in this group that's been brought together. That one night at the Baked Potato turned into over a year and a half playing there. Right from the beginning, we had every major producer in that club looking at us. They would come and hang out. People that we would read the back of the records and go, oh man, if I could just meet him. They were there listening to us. In 6 months, we had a record contract with CTI Records. That came out, I think, in '77. Off the first record, a song that I wrote here. Actually, it was God that did the writing. It's called Devil is a Liar. Was nominated for a Grammy. All of this was, we were so, I was older than anybody, the other guys in the band. I was 31, but I was still a kid at heart. I'm going, can you believe we got to do a record? And now they're saying we're nominated for a Grammy? Wonder if we could win. No. Well, we didn't. Barbra Streisand won. And I thought, oh, well, there's going to be a lot more, and that's cool. And there was still this heart of innocence. We were embracing just this new adventure in the band. And literally, the believers were really new believers within a year and a half to 2 years. So we were finding our way in faith. What does it mean? Now, we're on a secular record label. Back in those days, here was the division. You had the secular, you didn't even call it secular. You had the real and the unreal and the wannabes. And the wannabes were the Christian musicians and record. They were so fledgling, they were so small, and it was all folk music. So if you had horns, you had anything, very small opportunity to get heard. And it was a great division. So we were secular, we didn't know, we're just doing what we do. And I'm just going, God, I can't stop writing about you. You love me. I can't believe that. You saved me. And people would go, man, that's cool. They're spiritual. They're a religious band. And we got this following around the country. Philadelphia was a real strong place for us. First time we went in, we started playing, and they knew every lyric. They knew every horn lick. They knew every song. We went, wow, this is easy. This is going to be, it's just there for the taking. Second album came out, same thing. A lot of notoriety. Now we're all doing sessions. All those producers that came in said, I want to hire you, Bob, to play drums on a movie date. And it's being laid out before us. Thanking God. We switched from CTI Records to A&M Records. Starting on the third album. And up until this point, it was a joy. Writing was a joy. I couldn't wait. There wasn't enough time in the day to get what I wanted down. Third album starts, and the president of Horizon, which was a subsidiary of A&M, Tommy LaPuma, says, can we have lunch? And I go, wow, yeah, cool. And he takes me to this real fancy restaurant. And he said, man, we are so excited about you guys. I mean, it's like incredible. But can you tone down the references to God in your songs? And I went, whoa, I'm not understanding. I mean, it wasn't like every song had the name of Jesus in it. But this was just talking about God. He loves you. And he goes, I know, but man, we could do that. We could gain more. You could really cross over in some major markets and be selling a lot more records. I don't want you to lose it because that's part of who you are, but could you just tone that down? And I remember leaving the lunch being so perplexed, and I went back and I'm just going, well, God, what? I've never been confronted with this before. In the marketplace, whatever marketplace you're in, you may be in the music marketplace, you may be a secretary, you may be a lawyer. There will become a time to where you come up against the compromise. This wasn't going to change my faith. I wasn't going to lose my faith over this. But I went back. And I finally called Tommy Lupuma. I said, I understand what you're saying, but I have to be who I am. And he said, okay. It was just I just thought I'd bring it up. And I thought, oh, cool, this is over. This is great. But something happened in that moment, and I'll tell you what happened. I made the right decision, but there was a moment of thinking that I went, wow, we could sell more records. It was a deposit. Later on, when there was more sessions happening, and you're playing with guys you have dreamed of playing with. You've seen on every record label. They're icons in the music business. Working with Quincy Jones. Many huge producers. And they know it. Behind Seawind, they knew we were a religious group. That's what we were called. You guys are a religious group. You have that religion going on. I don't call it that, but okay. But then I found myself at times, a guy would come up to me and was what Guy was just sharing. And they'd say, hey, first time, Anthony Jackson, incredible bass player from New York. He's not in LA, but he comes out and we're doing a session. Bob, what have you been doing? You know what? Well, I'm in a band, Seawind, and yeah, I've heard about that. And I remember a point inside going, I don't want to share that I'm a Christian because this may affect this relationship, and this is a major player in the business. I'll just say, yeah, I'm cool. And I was reserved. And I can remember definitely on those points, from that point, the songwriting had no more joy in it. We're in our third album now. We're out on the road. And though Seawind is known for the kind of songs that it was done, here's what had happened. On the day, July 12th, 1975, I accepted Jesus into my heart. He was also on my lips. And what had taken place was Jesus was still in my heart, but he wasn't on my lips anymore. There wasn't the heart of innocence. There wasn't the childlike abandonment. I don't care. And times were different back then. I mean, today, with the great platform that God has raised up in worship music, it's a viable product. And the world sees it that way. The world sees, that's why you see EMI, you see so many other secular companies saying, we got to get into the worship and praise business because it's big money. But I had lost Jesus on my lips. I would share it in a broad, over a radio interview, yes. But when it came to one-on-one with a major player in the business, I would just tone it down. We were out on the road. Then what also happened, we were out on the road, 6-week tour with George Benson. And we're all on this bus, and we're traveling. And there was Greg Fillinganes, is an awesome keyboard player, strong believer in the Lord. And he's sitting across the aisle, and someone says, Bob, you've got a letter. And you're out so much you get mail, you know. They passed the letter back and opened it up, and the gist of the letter went, man, Bob, this is so-and-so, and I love your music, and strong believer, and our church just loves what you guys are doing. In fact, we were adopted as the Christian #1 band. We didn't know what that meant, but we were in a poll. Somewhere in a magazine, we were the Christian community's #1 band. And he said, it's awesome, but what I feel is lacking are strong lyrics in your music. The name of Jesus should be in every song. And I'm the guy to write the lyrics. And I'd had it. This had been, I'm encapsulating this. But there was a point I couldn't please the record company. Now I can't please the believers. I was caught in the middle. I'm going, this is not fun anymore. This is, what happened? And believe me, I would think back at the time that the whole band would be in the Poly House. And we'd say, let's just write. Let's play music. And the believers would get together and pray. The simple days. Now it's complex. I can't win. The record company's saying, man, you got to tone it down. We're not reaching a big enough audience. The believers, the Christians, are going, you're not doing enough. And I remember taking the letter, and in anger, I tore it up. And I said, I am through with the Christian community. That's all I had been getting was flack. I knew the world. I knew what they expected. But now there was no support here. And I put my head down, and Greg Fillinganes put his arm around me. He said, Bob, because he kind of oversaw the letter. He said, you have an audience of one. You write for him and to him. And I looked at him. What seemed so evident that you could pick it up, it was like a revelation. I went, wow. The process began. We had one more album with Seawind, and the record company was really putting the hammer to saying, we need more real pop kind of love songs. And it was still a struggle in writing. And I was coming to a point at the fourth album, we'd been together for 12 years. And even before that, some of us. And it was time to move on. And we said, you know what, we've run out of gas here. There wasn't anything more to write about because the record company was really putting the hammer down. So we all quit. Oh, we didn't quit. We just said, we're all doing sessions and doing that stuff. And I was out on the road with Lee Ritenour and just feeling like I'm just a hired gun. There's no dream anymore. As that when I was here, there was a dream. It wasn't to become a pop star. It was just, I don't know. I'm expectant for something. Now I am putting food on the table and there's no more joy in the music. I'm playing with one of the top musicians and artists, and we're traveling all over the world. And I'm going, it's not happening. I remember sitting down Lori and I had been married for, this was in 1990. We'd been married for a couple years. And I just prayed this prayer. Lord, I have no dream anymore. The very gifts that you've given me, I give them back to you now. And it was just a strong feeling of it's in his hands. And about a week later, I told Lori, I said, you know what, I don't think, I'm not supposed to go out. I have plenty of work here lined up for the summer. And so I called Lee up and said, I'm through with this. Well, making a longer story shorter, all that work for that summer was canceled. It got postponed. We got into debt. We lost our house. I'm going, what have I done? What have I done? What, am I so far off the mark? Praying about it. We prayed and fasted about this. To a point to where there was no work in town anymore. I went down and I applied for temporary work as a file clerk to bring some money in. One of the humbling points was walking into this temp agency, and I'm at this, whatever the organization was, just going to be a file clerk. And they know that that's not what you do for a living. You're a temporary worker. What do you do? I'm a musician. You played any bands? I had a band. Well, what was the name of the band? It was Sea Wind. Sea Wind! It's my favorite band. And our eyes locked. And there was this pride inside of me that went, oh gosh, can it get any worse than this? I used to be somebody, and now I'm a file clerk working for this guy. And every day I would make that 20-minute drive, and I'd be going, wow, Lord, this is, whew. Maybe it's all gone. It's all over. Sea Wind had its day. That was my 15 minutes, and it's over. And then there became a change. I would actually, when I got that check for $237, at the end of that week, it might as well have been $2,000. I went back praising God. I get this call about 8 months into this. I mean, I'd worked a couple sessions in that. And it was to sub for the Maranatha Praise Band. Now, I had never done anything in Christian music other than a couple sessions. And I subbed for Franklin Graham. All of a sudden, I subbed a little more. And God was taking me in this place from over here and shifting my gaze because of my prayer. All of a sudden, all the work I was doing, and he kept adding to it and adding to it, all the work was in the Christian community. I was asked to join the band, and I've been playing with Franklin and Billy Graham for about 11 years now. All this to say, whatever marketplace you're in, I say this again, you will come to that point of compromise. I don't care if you're so solid. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care if you're so well rooted. There will become a time when the enemy just said, I know I can't take his faith away, but if I can just take the edge off, I can just take that heart of innocence away, and you become that, all right, it's just the way life is. I'm going to grind my way through it. It is not that way. I'm at the age of 56. I am playing with joy. I'm writing music It is a joyful and a blessed life. It's always been a blessed life. God just had to show me, you were thanking me, but I wasn't on your lips. I wasn't really pursuing him. I'm going, thank you, God, for the blessing. It's incredible. I'll take care of the phone calls and the challenges. For every young musician here, God's given you dreams and aspirations, and that's awesome. I just say never let Jesus fall from your lips. And in the day that we live in right now, it's even more important. It's our time to share Jesus with as many people as we can in your marketplace. Because who knows how long we have. The time is right. It's awesome. When I think back, I sat back, took my daughter out on Ala Moana Park. And there's a point I forgot all about. It's just all the way at the end of the park. And I sat there with her, and I suddenly looked out and I went, oh, the Lord that's where I wrote the song Sea Wind. I was sitting there. He just inspired me with this melody. I was hearing the wind. I was feeling it, and the waves were breaking. And it brought that youth, that first love back over and over again. Never lose that first love. Whatever you have to do, keep it, because your marketplace is going to try to crowd it out of. And I'll even say this, even the Christian music marketplace will crowd it out. Because believe me, it's just a model of the world. It's about making money. There's ministry attached to it, but in a lot of cases, and I've been in it long enough to see the motivations. What was started off an absolute love for ministry turned into, just as it can with all of us. But if we just cut back, or we shape the image more, we could sell more records. God's not interested in that. My last point is, as we stand before a holy God, he is not going to say, I'm proud of you for the 10 gold albums or your solo album that you did. He's going to say, what did you do with my son? Did you share Jesus? Not going to matter. And the other thing I say is we're all going to get older. I'm ahead of a lot of you. And there'll be a point when my teeth are in a glass. Okay? And part of my memory is going, you say I played drums? But the treasures that will be for eternity are going to be the relationships that God has brought into our lives. Never allow the marketplace to define your image or your friends or your relationships. Because that day will come and I'll be sitting in a chair, and I hope it's somewhere here. And I'll be going, I love this place. And thinking about the relationship God put in my heart. That's what I'm going to take with me. So it's important. Pursue him with everything that you have. Don't let up, because the first time you kind of go, oh, okay, we're kind of rolling. It's powered by itself. That's when the enemy will come in and subtly just go, hey, what about? I love you guys so much. This is a very dear place to me. And thank you for letting me share with you. Thanks.